Oh man, fam, you're going to think that I woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. It's not true. It's not true. But the information game, particularly the misinformation game, which is the game that's mostly played these days, trying to do some things today. And I'm going to call out some folk specifically, and then we're going to look at some of the reality behind, what's the reality behind the headline? A lot of times there will be something there, but the direction they're trying to point your consciousness in is just not in tune with reality or what you would expect. So as I'm sharing this here, I'm going to share this to my personal real quick, and then I'm going to dive into a couple things. These are things that anyone can see. It doesn't really take a genius, but I'm paying very close attention to this stuff. So maybe I'm just on top of it. We're going to get into interest rates here in a second, but let's first go here. Front page CNBC. How about this? Let me remove my graphics since I'm a one-man band here. Let's see. You can't see it. How about now? Housing boom is over, declares CNBC on the front page. This is not the real estate page. This isn't the business section. This is the front page of CNBC.com. Front page. Housing boom is over. It's over. As new home sales fall to pandemic low. Well. What have we here? And what you have to look at is you have to dig a little bit deeper. We're going to look at Bitcoin actually today as well in a little bit of detail, as that is going nuts at the moment. So I'll just keep myself over here on the lower right-hand side of the screen for now. Housing boom is over. New home sales fall to pandemic low. But wait a minute. Is new home sales what determines whether a housing boom is over or not? New home sales. Not talking about existing homes. New home sales. Sales of new single-family homes fell to an annualized rate of 676,000, below May's rate, and by 6.5%, and almost 20% below the June 2020 level. But keep in mind, what happens, you have to know how the business works. This is what drives me crazy. I'm also going to talk to you today about this guy here who is saying there's going to be a housing crash, and the logic that he's using. Listen, if you don't work in the business, if you're not nose to the grindstone, if you aren't in the weeds, there's a lot of things you wouldn't understand. There's a lot of things you would get wrong. And this is just a perfect example of that. Obviously, Dana Olick, in her super bearish stance on real estate as a real estate reporter, what the heck, constantly puts information like this out. Now, you look at the inventory, and the inventory has definitely been an issue. But what you're talking about here is new home sales, builders. What builders do is they will typically lock up a lot, have someone pick the plan, and then they will build it. And that is considered a sale. So they will call that is considered a sale. Now, when you look at what happens with these new home builders, that they have outsold, on these housing starts, they've outsold what their ability is to actually build. And so what some of them have done, many of them, in fact, is they've stopped selling. They've said, we're not going to sell anymore. We're not going to generate any new contracts. We're not going to sell because we have to catch up on construction. And that is going to cause these numbers to skew. Does that mean that the housing boom is over? Let me ask you, if you think if there's so many people who want to buy houses that the builders are booked out as far as they can see and actually have to stop selling, does that tell you that the housing boom is over? Or does that tell you we're right in the midst of it? You tell me. Those are just the facts. You tell me. What does that likely mean? Terrible article, extremely misinformation, and put on the front page. What in the world? And it's things like this that make me believe that there are, I know this is conspiracy theory stuff. I realize that. But I know, read Confessions of a Street Addict. Wall Street does use media to change the way people think so that they can keep you from doing what Wall Street wants to do or get you to do what Wall Street wants you to do. Wall Street wants to buy real estate right now. That's obvious. So I think we're going to see more and more negative propaganda. I wonder, when we get to the YouTube section of this here in a second, if these people who are on YouTube making crash videos, which are just a dime a dozen, they're everywhere, are they getting greased? I don't know. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but something's amok because the data, everything that any commonsensical person could look at will tell you we are in the midst of an extreme housing boom, which is associated with pent-up demand and a lack of supply, and a tremendous lack of supply. Millions and millions and millions of homes less than what we need in this country. So just remember, when the crash came, people went and got roommates who didn't have roommates before. People went back and lived at home with their parents. Stuff like that was happening. Adults were doing that. At some point, those people are going to come back into wanting to own their own home or wanting to have their own place. And whether they rent or whether they buy, it doesn't really matter. It's the same supply, basically. It's essentially the same supply. I tried to buy a rental property over the weekend in a little sweet spot in Missouri that I like a lot. It was listed at $147,500. We offered $160,000. Okay, we waited to the very end. We did everything right, and someone came in higher than us. Even more last second than we were. We were literally $459 on Saturday. It was supposed to be 5 p.m. How could that be? My guess, it's a Wall Street buyer, cash buyer with escalation clause. It's my guess. I don't know. Listing agent wouldn't tell me. I can't buy a simple little rental property. Man, it was a good one too. Gosh, it was perfect. Pisses me off. But it is what it is. This is the market we're in. Money's running amok. Wall Street has the green light, and they're pushing the buy button in a major, major way. I mean, they are seriously pulling the trigger. People want to know, what's up, Robert? Yes. We'll get to that. I'm going to get to that in a second. Bitcoin is definitely running. So this article is completely false and misleading. Now, if we go over here, this guy, what is he called? What's the name of this guy again? REVenture Consulting is the name of the YouTube channel, and he has way more followers than me. Okay, and most people do. I need to get better about somehow promoting the channel, but I don't really care. It's organic. You see it, great. You get the information. It's probably going to be helpful to you. Bottom line. Now, this guy is basically, all the information he's saying is correct, except for he's just wrong about the time frames. And then he made one correlation that was an inverse. Those are only two small mistakes, but they make the complete entire message wrong. So he was saying that this supply issue that we're having right now is temporary, and the supply will come back, and the housing market will get crushed. And but where's that supply coming from, bro? See, he doesn't understand what has caused the supply shortfall. He believes that realtors and lenders and people in the real estate industry, because lumber prices went really high, were fear-mongering people into buying homes at absurdly high prices. If you actually worked in the business, if you actually understood how any of this worked, then you would know that that's not the way that it works. The way that it works is people are buying homes hand over fist, and therefore, because of that, lumber speculation takes off and lumber prices go really high. Not the other way around. You've got to know who's the dog and who's the tail, okay? Who's wagging who? I promise you it's not lumber futures that are just making determinations whether people buy homes or not. No, when people buy homes en masse or the opposite, that's what moves the futures market, not the other way around. And that's a simple mistake, but it's a huge one because it causes you to give the exact wrong information. You see what I'm saying? And this inventory shortfall is not a short-term thing. It is a massive long-term secular issue that is actually going to continue to get worse over time as there's less and less good land to build on and more regulations for home builders. So just know that. That is not something that is going away. Now, look here. If you'll look at this, maybe I can zoom in a little bit. Yeah, because it's going to work. Look at the side over here. The side, this is the guy, REVenture. Banks on strike, housing crash next, is what he says. Wells Fargo signals trouble. This was another crash video. Hyperinflation and a collapse imminent. Meet Kevin. There is inflation will turn into deflation. There's just a bunch of like crash videos out there. I see them all the time, and those are just some examples. A lot of these people really don't know what they're talking about. They really don't understand what's actually driving the market. They don't understand what actually causes a crash. They don't understand any of these things, but yet they're sitting here telling you that this is going to happen and that's going to happen, and even CNBC is feeding into it. Just crazy. In case you didn't see this, this was something that's been, many weeks back. I had no idea about, had not heard about this, but SANDAG Transportation, which is the San Diego government, basically, they plan to charge fees for miles driven. Now, and I just got mine too in the mail, renewals for your car license. When that comes in, you pay a certain fee, right, to get your license, registration renewed, I should say. And so now what they're saying is we're going to look at mileage. We're going to have you report mileage, and you're going to have to pay per mile driven. This is what they're saying. You're going to pay the local government for every mile that you drive, on top of the sales tax that you paid for your vehicle, on top of the recurring tax you pay if it's a lease, on top of the gas and the taxes, all the taxes associated with that, unless you're plugging in like me. But even if you're plugging in like me, I don't have solar, so I'm paying the local utilities for that. Now you're going to pay another tax. And now they're saying that the reason is because they want people to transport themselves via public trans. We don't have good public transit here. Look, if we did, people would use it. I mean, if you go to Europe, like go to Rome, awesome. I wouldn't want to get around any other way. You can get all over Rome so quick and cheap because it was designed, the metro was built around that concept. It was built a long time ago. And so the city was sort of able to build around the metro. And we just don't have that here. We don't have it here. The public transit here sucks. So this is a terrible idea. It's horrible. Call your local council members. Call whoever. Just know that this is coming. This is happening, and we got to let people know that this is ridiculous and insane. A couple of the things on the market today: IPOs on track for a record year as companies cash in on sky-high stock prices. This is a bad sign. I will tell you that. This is a red flag, 100%. The last time that we had this level of IPO filings was dot-com bubble. And a lot of you may be too young to remember that. But 1999, 2000, we had a dot-com bubble burst. A lot of these were website companies when the internet was new. People didn't really know what it was. And I feel like there's some similarities here today because a lot of this stuff is tech-oriented. People don't know really what it is or how it makes money. And yet you're getting tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars raised through stock offerings in some of these companies, making certain people extremely rich and leaving investors to hold the bag, just hoping that this company, which hasn't made a dollar yet, is going to somehow. Red flag for the stock market. But hey, if we look at the stock market, I mean, so over 35,000 in the Dow, over 4,400 in the S&P, almost 15,000 in the NASDAQ. Stock market's on fuego. We'll take a quick look at oils, $72 range. Gold, I think, dipped under 1800. Can you imagine owning gold? Can you imagine? I mean, my goodness, this is it's like watching golf. It is. I mean, just want to put yourself to sleep on a Saturday or Sunday. If you need to take a nap, find the golf that's on. It won't be long. I love playing golf. It's super fun. Watching golf, snooze fest. Watching gold, snooze fest. And hey, if you're into the snoozy type of investments, maybe that's for you. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is making a run right now. Actually, got up into the 40s not that long ago. We're going to take a closer look at the charts here. Peeling back right now. Wow. Yeah, some crazy candles going on here. This is the hourly on Bitcoin. And let's zoom in a little bit. So the hourly, you can see here. Over here, this is where, we had that. This is basically the range that same day that I said, hey, listen, be ready for it to go a lot lower because we were consolidating beneath the support level of 30,000. And so it's like, okay, this very well could just tank lower. It busted through that. Okay, blew out a bunch of, that's a total blowout right there. A bunch of shorts probably had it right at 30,000. Blew it out, brought it up. This here is another short liquidation. You can see these short liquidations coming and happening. Another short liquidation, huge short liquidation here. You can see the tall wick as it got up to 39,000 and change. Another big short liquidation here above 40, and then just sort of whipsawing back and forth. Bitcoin, this is what happens with Bitcoin. This is why I explain to people, don't try to trade this. Don't use leverage. Don't try to guess the right time to get in and get out. Just dollar cost average. Buy every week, however much you can afford. Buy it. And then you get to participate in this. It reduces the amount of angst you feel on the way down, and it reduces the amount of euphoria you feel on the way up. It really does ground you to have the dollar cost average strategy in. Because when it goes up like this, you start to get excited and you're like, wait a minute, I'm still going to be buying this for the next 10 years. So That's great that it's up, but when Friday comes around and my buy order gets filled, it's getting filled at a higher price. And then when it goes down, you're like, okay, well, that sucks. My total amount of investment that I have right now is lower, but I am buying it again on Friday at the cheaper price. So it just kind of grounds you a little bit. And it looks like here creating some support at 38,000 is what it looks like. Just trying to establish some new support. And every time you have a leg up, you get to see that, right? There's a new sort of support window established. And I have not been looking at these at all on purpose. And so I don't have a quick, it's all right. I'm not going to draw it for you. But bottom line is you have these new support channels, right? These new consolidation areas that get built up down there lower, here higher, and then again, rocket up, and then here's the support channel, and then rocket up, and then here's the support channel. And those little support channels that get created are sort of the key to showing you the next move. So like if you were to break below that, and close below that, then it's going to be, probably a move lower. If you go and you can stay above that, you can continue to move higher. So Bitcoin is all over the place right now. There's definitely, some theories as to why it's moving. I'm not going there yet. I don't care. Sit back, relax, watch the next 10 years unfold. Watch this thing go to numbers that will make you go crazy if you don't own it. And by the way, I did check with my CPA on this because a lot of people are saying this like, hey, if you're down on your Bitcoin, sell it. You can immediately buy it back, take the capital gains loss, the short-term loss, and then hopefully you can hold, continue to hold for the long haul, pay long-term capital gains tax. He did say that this is true. I feel like it's a gray area. So be careful with this. Talk to your CPA before you do it. But basically, there are rules that are called wash sale rules. So like if you were to do this with a stock, for example, you sell it, then buy it right back, you don't get that. You have to wait 30 days. I think it's 30 days. And so, but because crypto is considered property and not a security, you're able to actually do it. And so this is possible. It may be too late now for a lot of people. But it is what it is. So this one I just thought was hilarious. This is the last one for the day. Investors are worried about inflation, how bonds can help. So look at what the propaganda is telling us, okay? Just look at it. Just look at the propaganda. They're telling you the housing boom is over. They don't want you in real estate. They want you to go away, right? They want you to think, oh, it's over. Prices are going to start coming down. You just sit back and relax and wait for prices to come to where you like them. And then investors are worried about inflation. How bonds can help. How bonds can help? What? Don't get it. Don't get it. But they're basically trying to tell you that bonds are okay. So they're trying to tell us that housing bad, bonds good. I'm going to tell you the exact opposite of that because I have my head screwed on straight and I'm not lying to you about anything for any particular reason. Yes, listen, it's simple. What do? I'm a mortgage guy. I help people get the best mortgage rate possible. Are there a lot of people out there in that space that are putting out, propaganda, advertisements that are misleading? 100% all the time. Happens all the time. Believe me, there's so much in that space. I will go there in a video specifically. I'm not going to do it today, but I will go there and I will explain some of those things. There's an upcoming video from me that's going to explain how you get the best, and I've done this before, how you get the best rate. Reach out to me. Send me an email. I can take a look at your mortgage statement. All I need to know is your credit score. We don't have to pull credit. I can run through all that stuff and tell you, hey, this is how it looks. This is whether or not it makes sense for you to refi. Or if you're looking to get pre-approved to purchase a home, do that as well. We service many states as well, so we can help people pretty much all over the place. That said, that's straightforward. Here's you want my agenda. How do I make money? That's how I make money. So there you go. All right. We don't know why this article was written. That's my problem with it. We don't know why. We don't know the impetus. Who would have said that, hey, we should talk about how bonds are actually good in an inflationary environment? Who would have said that in a round table? Nobody. So this is coming as an order for something else. There's something else behind this. I don't know what it is. There's something else there. And since I don't know, I'm going to stay away from it. All right, let's talk about rates real quick. So this is today. Several people are getting hit up from me today who are, waiting for like, I don't know what, but as far as just like rates, maybe they think the rates are going to go lower, and they very well could. But today you can see we're down 14 basis points. We're holding on to this little trend line here, just barely, this small trend line. And you could draw a more longer term one like this if you wanted to. But if you draw that one, it looks worse for us. It looks like we've already broken it. And, so we look at this shorter term one is still intact. But again, we have the 200-day moving average right above us here. We also have resistance shortly above that. It's going to be very difficult to break through that. I'm just telling you right now. So hopefully we can. It could take a very long time, but I'm saying right now is a good time to lock. Now is a good time to lock. If you want to be safe, if you want to be conservative about it, if you're okay with throwing away whatever savings you have on the table, if you're in a purchase, you lock. Trust me on this. You lock right here, right now. If you are in a refi and you want to take a chance because you're a gambling type, or because maybe you're not in love with the savings you have right now, and hey, let's wait and see. First thing I would do is calculate how much are those savings. Because a lot of times, someone might be saving $150 a month, and they're like, "Oh, I want to wait until I can get a 0.25% lower." I'm like, "Well, 0.25% lower, we're only saving another $18. So do you really want to risk another $18 savings for the whole $150? Because once you start to get down to where you're only saving 80 or 90 or whatever, it doesn't even make sense to do it in a lot of cases. So do you want to give the whole thing up over that $18? So you got to also figure out, like, if I'm going to wait, how much am I going to gain if I'm right? It's all about risk reward. So I'm risking the whole thing. What's my reward? And does that make sense? And this is something I try to help coach people with on refinances, because I just treat it like it's my own situation. How would I do this? How would I handle this? And, whether it's telling you not to do it or telling you to lock immediately, I'll be very honest with you. I tell people every day, don't do it. If I told someone this morning, he wanted to refinance a home in Nevada, only owes 170 on it, has 3.375. Yeah, you can get a lower rate, but it just doesn't pencil. It just doesn't. When you get to those lower loan amounts, you have to really look at a 0.5% or 0.5% really is not enough. And so in his case, I said, hey, wait, if rates get to this level or whatever that is, then you should look at pulling the trigger. And that'd be like the bare minimum to do a refi. So I'll shoot you straight. You can count on that. Hopefully that's helpful, team. Was there anything else I was going to show you? Bitcoin. We already talked about that. Support is building at 38,000. Let's see if that holds. Starting to dip below now. And I will say this, the crash videos, so many people doing these crash videos, so few have a clue. So few have a clue. So yes, meet Kevin for governor. I like it, Robert. Hey, I like Meet Kevin. I do. But he's just one of those people, like a lot of these YouTube guys, unfortunately, are just very dramatic. They're like melodramatic with their headlines that they're writing and stuff, like, do this one thing before you buy Bitcoin or whatever. They're just they put too much bad energy into it. And let's just shoot people straight. Like, yeah, is my headline trying to draw attention? Of course it is. But I want it to be what we're actually talking about. I don't want to give people some sort of idea that, like, I've got this panic-stricken information that you need immediately or else. And what's funny about those guys is they write these headlines that are all panic-stricken, and they start their video and they're like just bouncing around like there's no big deal. It's annoying. Anyway, call, text if you want to buy or refi. I can certainly help you out. Call, text, send me an email, and I'll be here to help. Hopefully that will help you align with the truth of what's going on in the market so far. More to come. I have a lot of videos I'll be making this week, so I'll see you guys soon.